Welcome to the Everything Podcast. In this episode, I'll be recapping another episode of How I Met Your Mother, and in this episode, I am recapping How I Met Your Mother. I think it's Season 1, Episode 17, titled Life Among the Gorillas, which was originally released on the 20th of March 2006, and I'm recording this episode over 19 years later on the 23rd of July 2025. As I've mentioned in previous How I Met Your Mother episodes, I can't show you a trailer because How I Met Your Mother came out before YouTube even existed, and there were no trailers that I could find anywhere. So, without further ado, here's my recap of How I Met Your Mother, Life Among the Gorillas. We start off with the How I Met Your Mother title sequence. Older Ted mentions 1988 Marshall reading a book named after this episode's title. Older Ted explains the plot of this book. Someone upsets Marshall. Marshall discusses the destruction of rainforests with Ted. Marshall agrees to have a coffee. Marshall reveals his plan. Marshall mentions global warming. Older Ted corrects Marshall. I put Ted, that can't be right. Well, that's what it's got written. The Marshall and Ted kiss. I don't know if that's right. It could be Lily. It's been a while since I wrote this episode, so I can't actually remember. Ted uses Lily's nickname for Marshall to Marshall. Marshall informs Ted that a parcel has arrived for him. Older Ted reveals this episode is set nearly a month after Cupcake, which is the previous episode, which I've already done a recap on. Older Ted reveals his feelings on long-distance relationships. Ted opens the parcel, which is from Victoria. Lily sees through Ted. Ted compliments Victoria's baking. Ted believes he doesn't deserve Victoria's cupcakes. Marshall compares current Ted to a 15-year-old him. Older Ted reveals what Barney and Marshall's bosses make. Barney is informed of Marshall's arrival in his work building. Barney and Marshall reunite. Marshall notices Barney's abundance of motivational posters. Barney refuses to tell Marshall what his job entails. Marshall meets some of his colleagues. Barney helps Marshall. One of Marshall's colleagues asks Marshall a question. Marshall mentions being engaged multiple times. Ted eats more of Victoria's cupcakes. Ted leaves a voicemail for Victoria. Ted admits to Robin to lying to Victoria. Robin gives Ted some advice. Older Ted mentions Robin admitting to her romantic feelings for Ted to Lily. Ted mentions Marshall and Lily. Marshall refuses to talk to Lily about his day at work. Marshall insults his colleagues. Marshall reveals what happened during lunchtime. Marshall mentions freshman year. Marshall demonstrates one of his dance moves. Marshall informs Barney that he has quit the job he found him. Marshall corrects Barney. Barney still refuses to inform anyone what his job is. Barney mentions Lily. Barney insults Marshall's dream job. Marshall agrees to return to work. One of Marshall's colleagues mentions Betty White. Ted updates Robin on how Victoria felt about the parcel he sent her. Ted offloads to Robin about his most recent conversation with Victoria. Ted fell asleep whilst on the phone to Victoria. Ted plans on surprising Victoria. Robin lies to Ted. Marshall asks Barney for his advice about his new colleagues. Barney agrees to give Marshall some advice. Barney insults Marshall. Lily doesn't like the advice Barney gave Marshall. Marshall mentions this episode's title. Lily mentions peer pressure. Marshall asks Barney to be his mentor. Barney and Marshall high-five multiple times. Barney insults some of Marshall's high-fives. Barney raises his voice at Marshall. Marshall demonstrates the lessons Barney taught him. Marshall's colleagues now like Marshall. Marshall sees himself as a gorilla. Ted shows Robin the email he received from Victoria. Ted believes Victoria's going to dump him tonight. Robin attempts to reassure Ted. Robin believes Victoria isn't going to break up with Ted. Lily attempts to paint whilst Marshall is on the phone. Lily shows Marshall her new painting. Lily asks Marshall to not behave how he behaves at work at home too. Lily insults Marshall's colleagues. Marshall invites Lily to join him and his colleagues for karaoke. Lily agrees to do this. One of Marshall's colleagues mentions Scarlett Johansson. Marshall and Lily reveal their karaoke song. Marshall's colleagues poke fun at this. Marshall chooses his colleagues' suggestion over what he usually sings with Lily. Marshall's colleagues inform Marshall when he completes law school they want him to work with them. Marshall agrees to do this. Lily leaves the table. Marshall attempts to explain his recent actions to Lily. Marshall reaffirms his love for Lily. Marshall compliments Lily. Multiple people look strangely at Marshall. Ted freaks out to Robin about Victoria not calling him yet. Robin compliments Ted. Ted watches Barney sing. Ted and Marshall reunite. Marshall checks in with Ted. Ted reveals why he's having issues with imagining Victoria. Marshall mentions environmental law. Ted convinces Marshall to do something. Marshall interrupts Barney. Marshall and Elise sing. Ted answers a call from Robin. Robin invites Ted to hers, and Ted agrees to join Robin. And that is my recap of How I Met Your Mother, season 1, episode 17, I think, called, it's a wordy one, so I can't quite remember, Life Among the Gorillas. And don't worry, I've recorded a few recaps, or written at least, of How I Met Your Mother. So there's loads of episodes to go. And if you're waiting for more How I Met Your Mother episodes, please go and check out my playlist, which contains all of my recaps all the way back from episode 1, and obviously this will be the 17th one. So you've got loads and loads of How I Met Your Mother episodes to enjoy. But back to this episode, let me know what you thought of How I Met Your Mother, Life Among the Gorillas, if you watched it. My recap, if you need to put your thoughts on both of those in the comments below, as well as anything else from the Dakota channel, such as any previews or recaps, put those in the comments below as well. Remember, you can also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. See you then. Goodbye.